Good morning, everyone, for being here. Thank you. Welcome to Espacio Fundación Telefónica in such a special day. We are celebrating today the program called Lanzaderas is celebrating its 5th birthday. That's right. It's a sad day also because it's raining, but thanks to our celebration, we're going to be smiling. I'm sure we have 2 hours ahead of us to celebrate. We are going to see the results. We're going to have a chat about the experiences of the participants in this program, and we want to share the spirit of the Lanzadera program, and especially with the stories of these people whose life has been changed by this program. Lanzaderas de Empleo, the employment shuttle, is a program that is fighting for employment and where we need new approaches based on people and their potential. And we're going to talk about the spirit of the Lanzaderas program, a spirit that it talks about collaborative culture. In this collaborative culture, as you know, from Fundación Telefónica, we have managed to get many partners and traveler companions who are filling this Espacio Fundación Telefónica, known faces from representatives from the public authorities, volunteers, business people. And obviously our protagonists in this area, we have the people who have participated in the Lanzaderas. There are over 15 Lanzadera projects active this time in Aragon, Catalonia, Castilla and León, and Extremadura, who have not arrived as of now. The event, and this will force us to improvise a bit, and we will we will take this time to reivindicate something, because the Extremadura group have not been able to arrive here by train. They needed to take a bus, and this is why they're late. And I wanted to thank all these participants that we have here today. Also, for all of the people who have not been able to come here by train or by bus or in any other way, we are streaming this online, and we don't want this event to be just limited to us, so we encourage you to use your mobile phones, to take pictures, to share it on social media. You have the hashtag on top of the screen. It's 5 años Lanzaderas. To talk about these 5 years, we're talking about a path that was started by the Foundation Santa María de la Real in Aguilar de Campo, but with a national vocation, with a international even vocation. And in this path in this journey, we have found many public administrations and many people for which we can only say that we're extremely thankful. 5 years of a shared journey that Fundación Telefónica never hesitated to join in as a partner, as an ally, and as a companion. And now we're going to leave the floor to the 2 leaders who have been pushing this project forward from the 2 foundations. We have Álvaro Retortillo from Santa María de la Real and Luis Miguel Oliva as well. And please put your hands together for them both. We're going to leave the floor to them now.
Me han dejado un móvil y todo, Álvaro.
Pues mira.
There's a cell phone here. Somebody has forgotten a cell phone? Yeah. Okay. Great. So, I was thinking, when Soraya and Laura were introducing us, it's like, well, we are over here. I mean, we shouldn't do anything. They could have explained all the results. Okay, so welcome you all. Welcome you all here in Fundación Telefónica. It's a great, well, we're really proud of this day. As Laura and Soraya have said, we are very proud of seeing all these faces that every day make that Lanzadera grows, and it makes sense, of course. And first of all, I would like to say thank you all institutions, public bodies, European bodies, because you are key to grow the program. But I would like to say thank you to the technicians that are on the other side, that tonight will be setting an exhibition that will be inaugurated this Saturday to hold this event here in Fundación Telefónica. As you know, for many years we've been working on this topic, one of the social problems that we have in this country. And when we made the decision of starting our journey, we thought that it would be great to help with these initiatives that contributed to improve these competencies and skills and choices in terms of employability. So it is then when we launched what it's called Conecta Empleo, where we tried to, well, in this transforming world, in this market, in this digital transformation, we don't know what's going to happen with these uncertainties, etc. We speak a lot about robots taking our jobs, etc. What's clear, and what we're convinced from Fundación Telefónica, is that this new employability demands different digital skills and skills that have to do with technology, but it demands humanization of this technology and values. And here is when you have to work on this topic, this attitude, this collaborative work, the trying to seek for this job opportunity makes Lanzadera be useful. 5 years ago, it was like, time goes by really, really fast. I've had 3 children during these 5 years. Yeah, you've run a lot. I have just 1.5. So 5 years ago, when we launched the first Lanzadera, even in 2012, we started to think about this, and Jose Maria, etc., started to think about this. It looked like something crazy. It was like something really, really crazy. The fact of thinking that unemployed people could collaborate on a voluntary basis with different profiles, etc., and in the end they were going to act to work among all of them and to struggle to accomplish the same goals. Well, people were looking at us with a very strange face. It was like, what are you talking about? But 5 years after, almost 11,000 people, 500 projects in all regions in Spain, even abroad. When we trust some people, and when we try to do things differently, and when we do it with alliances, with collaborations, everything is much easier. Yeah, I'd like to stop here because it is, it's good to start saying thank you to everybody. We'll say thank you throughout the presentation, but here I would like to say thank you to the Foundation of Santa Maria la Real. I think that during these 5 years that we've been working with the program, I think that the capability, the professionalism that has been shown by this foundation to have an impact, etc. Now we'll see the figures. I think it is incredible. I would like you to tell us a little bit about the foundation, how this this crazy idea started. We'll listen to Jose Maria later on. It's a great pleasure to have him here. And how all those pessimistic times, crisis, etc., how did you come across this idea? Well, in the end, as you were saying, the initiative was born at a specific time where everything was black, everything was pessimistic. 4, 5, even 6 million of unemployed people, and you opened any newspaper at that moment in time, or any website, any news or whatever, you see, you could see all the people that were unemployed. The unemployment rate was rising, etc. And one of the things is that behind all of this, of course, unemployment is one of the main problems that Spain has or had at that moment in time. But 5 million people, 6 million people can never be a problem. I think that this is the most powerful idea that the project has. Behind those figures, we have people with motivations, with life experiences, with resources, contacts. They are willing to share, and if they have the right channels with a collaborative approach, things could change. Unemployment is something really complex that affects many dimensions of the persons, and at social scale, it requires the commitment of private and public institutions, social entities, etc. And with these ideas, that were the ideas that were conveyed by Jose Maria, I think that this is the key for success, to trust on people and on their capability to make their living and to do it with other people. Well, you've talked about the origin, how this idea emerged. I don't know if you want to dive a little bit into that, how it was forged, etc. But we could speak about alliances. I don't know if you want to speak about how important alliances are. Well, to speak about Lanzadera, I mean, you'll be able to see it with their protagonists. But alliances, I think, that are key, because we are facing a problem that has is important for many dimensions of people's lives, social, family, areas, etc. So in the end, it's just impossible that we just tackle it from the public or private point of view, from a specific point of view. I think that alliances are the key aspect of this problem. Everything started because the government in Cantabria at that moment in time bet on the program. Other organizations joined the program, and you arrived in 2014, I think, with that famous visit to Aguilar and with the visit to Lanzadera. And I would like to ask you, because you've visited many places, etc., you've had many experiences, sometimes people look at you as if you were crazy. So what did you see, what did you feel the first time that you saw this program? Well, I will never forget our former social director, Carmen de la Serna, when she explained how Jose Maria, with his he insisted on, well, you have to come to Lanzadera, you have to come. And they finally went there. And she visited in Aguilar, your headquarters on one of the Lanzaderas, and they were astonished. And they were telling me how impressive this project was. And I was a little bit skeptic, so to speak. It was like, well, 20 people that are looking for a job, until I went to a Lanzadera. I saw the magic, I saw the soul of this program. I think that Lanzaderas is much more than a project. Lanzaderas has a special soul. And when you visit one of these Lanzaderas, you are aware, you become aware of the fact that there are many difficulties out there, and it's very easy to speak from these chairs, because we have our jobs today, but the difficult thing is to be on the other side. And the people that are part of Lanzadera fill you up with energy. I always say that the fact of going to a Lanzadera, I do not contribute anything, but all my energies are renewed. So I think that during all these years, the important thing of this alliance that we established on three sides, because there was a very powerful alliance between Santa María la Real, Telefónica, and we have all the institutions from Castilla-La Mancha, Galicia, the institutions that joined the project as a third ally, that we go hand by hand to collaborate on that, and eventually we had a much better performance with this European Social Fund. We wanted this to grow, to reach more people, and to have more people that could benefit from these stories. And every story that is that happens in Lanzaderas, I think, well, believe me, it's really worth it. It's great to be with them, to enjoy of their energy, etc. Yeah, I totally agree with you. There's when the Social European Fund came into place, so to speak, we have representatives from the European Union, from the European Commission. I think that this is what makes programs have a global scale impact. We could have marvelous programs at a city, a village, etc. But what makes programs be powerful is that we have the commitment of many diverse institutions, and this has been the basis during the program. I was going to tell you, well, I'm an engineer, I like numbers, and without boring you all, okay, but Alvaro, more than 500 Lanzaderas, the one that have been created, more than 10,000 participants. Yes, it's impressive. Well, it's a little bit overwhelming. At the beginning of 2013, we were walking throughout all the Lanzaderas. It was a very crazy year. But if we look back and we see more than 500 projects, more than 100,000 people, 221 cities, all the regions in Spain. We are speaking about all the provinces, Ceuta, Melilla, and in 2016. This project went abroad. We were speaking about successful percentages. We love numbers, and I know that you love numbers. We are speaking about 61% of the people that changed their situation through a job, self-employed, or a third-party employed. And the good thing is that we've had people with different realities. Young people, we started focusing on young people, but this project has been open to other people in their 50s, in their 20s, with different education levels. I think that this is the good thing of the program, this inclusive perspective, not to focus on a specific group of people, because when we mix people with different realities, the result is much more powerful. And in the end, in this case, you are an engineer and you love figures, and I'm going to ask you for something more human. The beautiful thing of this program is the human side, and the ones that visit Lanzadera, the one have been talking to people that are participating, technicians, etc. This is what you get in the end when you visit a Lanzadera one day and you see something really human and beautiful. I would like to ask you about an experience that could have been moving for you during all this time. Well, the great experience that has been moving is that, well, I've had my third daughter, okay? But apart from that, yeah, the reality is that at every Lanzadera that I've visited, I found unbelievable stories. Today we're going to going to come across some of them. I'd like to mention Joan Cruz, because as the principal of social relationships in Fundación Telefónica, he knows every story that has happened. We'll see stories of people, different stories. I'll speak about a story how Lanzadera is eye-catching, so to speak, not only from the technician point of view, but also from the most powerful point of view. When I went to Melilla, it's a different environment to the one that we were accustomed to, with a different profile of participants. I found a technician that was really empowered. She was Rocío, and she was passion. And this is one of the things that are very important, that this passion that is conveyed by technicians, so that they are working there on a daily basis, they are physically there, they are through the telephone trying that all that roller coaster that people live in the Lanzadera program is able to, to make people able to face that. Rocío told me, well, she came from Cádiz, she was in Melilla, she was offered to go to Seville, she was in Alaurín de la Torre, I was visiting her in Alaurín, and she told me that, well, I don't want this to be over, because this is my lifestyle, and that is really moving to me. Yeah, I would like to highlight that. The fact that people that are facing all this, people that are leading all the teams, make this project be successful. So seeing what we've done with the Lanzadera program, we have to look ahead, of course. We have to look back, but we have to look ahead too. We have great future possibilities, both with its original formula and with different derivatives. We can't be stuck at a specific program, a specific project. We have to evolve. And Lanzaderas is celebrating today. We are looking back, but we are looking ahead too. So it's very important to take into account that out of Lanzaderas, we have had different emerging models. We started in Valladolid, for example, the first Lanzadera that was specialized in a specific sector, that was the business sector. As we've said before, we are focused on a problem that is an emerging problem, that is the reality of the people with more than 45 years when they access to the employment market, for example, the senior Lanzaderas, for example, and to work on entrepreneurship. We've always worked Lanzaderas on a more cross-side way, but we have this collaborative approach with the team, with all the human side. We are trying to generate business ideas and social ideas that try to change the world. We'll see Amaya later on. And as you know, we've worked hand by hand at everything that has to do with the digital world. We are in a changing world. You open the window in the morning, you close it in the night, and the world is different. And a big part of this is in a great part because of technology. And we've started working on everything that has to do with digital competences. And I would like to to ask you something as a Fundación Telefónica representative. So, how do you think that the world is going to change, the employment is going to change because of technology? Why is it so important to focus on digital competences? Well, it is already changing. And I think that everybody that is here is aware of how fast these changes are taking place. It's a reality that is present at many discussions with experts in education, because with these technology speed we have to convey all these human values. But it's clear that we, in the Lanzaderas program, we needed to support the evolution of the program so that we could work with these digital tools that will enable us to have more choices to look for a job in the future. One of the things that is being very important in the Lanzaderas program is to be able to understand, out of this mass of more than 10,000 participants, what we always say: how is it possible to understand, to read the data, to interpret them, and to develop a tailor-made program? So this is, we are focusing on this with all the tools that are generating big data, etc., to external, internal variables. We'll have Nilton from InfoJobs, that is a very important resource to get all this data, how we're going to evolve in terms of employability, in order to try that it is much more accurate and effective, so that this differential value that participant in Lanzadera has, this is what was said 2 years ago with the former Ministry of Work, how there was a difference of 20% from a person that had participated in a Lanzadera compared to a person that hadn't, when being successful in seeking for a job. So we have to bet on that, and it makes sense if it makes sense for the participants, and we'll be there as foundations. I think that's the key aspect, to look ahead, to analyze the possibilities that we have with data, with technology. Well, I'm a data geek, and one of the good things that Lanzadera has had, this is one of the sentences that I always remember, is that, well, this is not a methodology, but a philosophy. It's a philosophy that is about convincing people in a collaborative approach from, this is given us the possibility of not only developing specialized lanzaderas, but also having the possibility of evolving towards other programs. And we were able to work with people that can be combined with many different things. And here we have had programs that, for example, programs that have been focused on employment and women, on green economy, like, for example, Milma, where we are collaborating in Fuenlabrada. They're trying to combine 20 new sectors with the most human part, the part that has to do with lanzaderas, and in IoT, Internet of Things. We are developing a pilot in order to see how this can be deployed. And Lanzaderas is a way of understanding how we work with people, in this case with unemployed people. And it's a philosophy that could be combined with many other things, a philosophy that, why not? We are trying to take it to previous stages in the world of education. For example, this is the previous stage of the labor world. That is a matter of concern for us. And today, it's a day of looking back. Of course, we have to be thankful to all the institutions, public, private institutions that are here, that have supported the project at national and international level, and all the people that are in the field, so to speak, in the arena, with the teams struggling and fighting. To all the participants, of course, I have my colleagues from Extremadura here. Fundación Telefónica, of course, because of your support, to the European Social Fund, of course, and to my colleagues of the Foundation, because this journey has been a journey that was started by Jose Maria, but without any kind of doubt, without the commitment of every single person that has joined the project. We are speaking about more than 300 people working in Lanzadera, because without them, this would have not been possible. So thank you for being here with us today, and now you'll be able to listen to the voice of the protagonists. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Yo también me había dejado para...
I had left. Well, I had forgotten. We said that we were going to split all these greetings. So I'd like to address you all. And as Álvaro has said, well, we know that the challenge of getting a job is not easy. It's a difficult way, as any challenge that we could face during our lives. But what's clear is that you are the persons that are there on a daily basis, that you are very, very important. You have great skills, great values, and you are the ones who give sense to all of this. This has been really moving, but well, thank you, a big, big thank you. Never stop dreaming and thinking big. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Álvaro and Luismi, in particular for making all these data so moving. We see that the quantitative balance is very positive, 500 Lanzadera projects, a great number of participants, but we are talking also about magic, humanity, life philosophy, and we're going to give voice and leave the floor to the real protagonists, the technicians and the participants in the Lanzadera programs, and we have organized a panel full of anecdotes and experiences that will be led by two people that you know very well, who are Rocío Pérez, the responsible of methodology in the employment area in Santa María la Real. She has created the content, the pedagogical guides, and she's also the responsible for selecting the participants. And she will be joined on the stage by Joan Cruz. He's the director for institutional relationships in Fundación Telefónica. We don't have much to add to what has already been said. You have a great experience in this field. Please put your hands together for him as well. Squeeze to summarize 5 years of Lanzaderas in just a few minutes. And we're just here to control the timing, but to express and to summarize all these years in this conversation that is going to be led by Joan and Rocío in just a few minutes, and with having 7 people is a real challenge, because in this space we could have the stories of the 10,000 participants about their challenges, their success, their changes, and we could have lanzaderas in Galicia, from Galicia to Murcia, from Catalonia to Extremadura, high Extremadura there, and from Madrid, Castilla-La Mancha, Balearic Islands, Ceuta and Melilla, but it's impossible. So we had to select some stories that we think can be representative of the results achieved by the Lanzaderas, and we have chosen several people, and I will introduce them to you. Marta Arandilla, technical from the Lanzadera in Segovia. Lola Rueda, technician from the Rota Lanzadera, and very spirited woman. Paco Belinchón, a participant in the Cornellá Lanzadera and #1 fan of ours in the social media. Amaya García, participant in the Talavera Lanzadera in Castilla-La Mancha. And Cristina Esteve, participant in the Lanzadera from Alicante in Comunidad Valenciana, in the Valencian region. So you have the floor. Well, thank you, Soraya. Welcome everyone to this space that we have designed to share the experiences of so many people, more than 10,000 participants, over 300 technicians that have guided the teams. The methodology and philosophy, as Alvaro was saying before, is dynamic. It's a dynamic program. We didn't just design it one day and replicated it over 5 years. It's dynamic because it's based on people. So on a daily basis, the technicians and the teams adapt to the group and the individual needs of each of the participants. This implies that there's a continuous improvement in the methodology, in the working techniques and strategies, and this improvement represents that this is a program that belongs to all the people participating in it, the technicians and the participants themselves. Some people have had an opportunity, some of them are already working, and I have to thank all my colleagues for their help in each of the areas of the program to support these teams that are fighting for finding a new opportunity, employment opportunity, and they work collaboratively and for everyone. We cannot focus all the experiences of so many people in this little space that we have of 2 hours, in 2 hours, but we can have a few of them. These experiences are unique, like each of them, and I'm going to leave the floor to Joan, who's going to be the person who's going to be leading the first interview with Lola Rueda.
Gracias a todos y a todas por estar aquí. Yo tengo que pediros disculpas en primer lugar.
Okay, so thank you very much for being here. I would like to apologize because, I cry a lot. I've just got from a pneumonia. But I'm sure that I will cry. But everybody that has seen me in Lanzaderas, I think that out of the 500 more or less that we have, I've been in more than 400. I always end up crying. This is my disease, okay? Oh, yeah, today, don't stick to me, okay? For the first time in many years, I haven't been able to sleep tonight. A big round of applause, please.
Ya está. ¿Qué pasó? Ya he llorado mis 3 lágrimas.
Well, I've cried, I've dropped my 3 tears. People tell me, you always cry, man. Okay, so I don't care about the show, okay? I've written a speech. I won't stick to that, okay? So, but she's accustomed to that. I have to tell you something. And I'm a Lanzaderas addict. The first time that I went there, 4 years ago, I was astonished. I was hooked for that. I'm unable to explain that. I went to Cáceres with some people that I met for the first time, and we were holding the first session, and they were happy. And you remember what Peridis said, a project where we have unemployed people that are smiling must have something magic. And I didn't believe in that. I have gone to more than 400 to see that it's not only magic but something unbelievable. It's something marvelous. It's one of the most beautiful stories that we've ever joined. And I still say that I can't explain what a lanzadera is, and I hope that I can never explain it. When somebody asks me, what's a lanzadera, I say, I don't know. I know that it's something amazing that transforms people's lives. And this is what we are here for today. How these people, no matter they are technicians, participants, etc., have realized that their lives has had before and after. And our colleagues from Telefónica are key for us. Every time that we get up from Lanzadera, people from Telefónica tell me, please take me to another one. And the colleagues from institutions, here we have people from institutions that are friends of us that have woken up early to be here from Tarragona, from Toledo, Seville, Asturias, Murcia, by car from Murcia, because they believe on this project as much as we do. But the important thing is that they speak, because I could spend half an hour, it would be so much. And I have to introduce somebody that is key for this project. I never know how to introduce her. Lola Rueda is our Rota technician. She's a passionate woman. She is a great person. She works in Jerez. She is doing absolutely everything. And for Lola, she comes from Jerez, so it's some kind of it's a color twister, so to speak. So I still think, Lola, what the hell are you doing in such a crazy thing?
First of all, thank you so much for bringing me here to this wonderful space as a representative from Andalusia. It's a great honor for me, first of all. So thank you, Joan. Thank you, Rocio. I could not be, this family could not be any better. The Lanzaderas family, to me, is the best thing that I have encountered in my life. Just to summarize this, I have worked in the tourist sector in Cádiz for many years. I had sort of prestige in my area, but the crisis came and I lost my job. So in 2012, 2013, I started recycling myself. Recently, in Madrid, I met somebody who was very interesting, and she recently I met her, and she told me that I'm very dynamic. And back then I thought what I could do for other people. In my work, I always helped other people and always try to place value in people before anything else. And many organizations don't value this. They don't value the talent of people, and they don't value people. And when I was recycling myself and considering what I could do to help other people, one day I came across somebody who told me about this Lanzaderas de Empleo, the employment shuttles, and they're looking for people. And I said to myself, well, I'm not trained for this. But then I said, yeah, but I want to become a technician of this program. The most important thing is to keep trying, to persevere. I have the profile to be a technician. I do not have the necessary studies for this, but I'm an entrepreneur in many fields. And since I knew that I could give the passion that I put into every initiative that I carry out with my teams, I knew that I could bring this to the Lanzaderas de Empleo. I was in an event in Galicia, and they told me that I had been selected, and they told me just find the way to get to Aguilar de Campo. Just let us know how you want to get there. Take as many trains or buses or whatever it takes for you to come here. And this was already telling me something of the group. Lanzaderas is about finding the way. We always need to find the way. I have reinvented myself with Lanzaderas. I've started a journey when I was 52. I'm already 54 to going on 55, and I could have never been any happier. This is the happiest time in my life. I'm extremely happy when I'm working with Lanzaderas de Empleo. I work in many different things. You will see me around in the social media, but today we're talking about the Lanzaderas de Empleo, and when I work with them, I'm truly happy. The thing that motivates me the most of being here is the way they care for people. Something that on which Álvaro insists a lot. People are the center, people in the core of the project, and that's the greatest truth. When I first started in the Lanzadera en Rota, I realized that there were 20 people who were really lost. They were looking at me, trying to asking for help. Their background stories were really impressive. And we're not psychologists. We just need to listen to them actively. Obviously, we want to reach a higher employability percentage, but we really need to devote time to them to get to know them. When I work with Lanzaderas, I leave everything aside and I focus 100% in the Lanzaderas project. I'm fully devoted to it. These people need tools. These people need a contact network. They need to consolidate their personal brand. And Lola Rueda can help them with this. I have done this with great passion. There have been 2 Lanzaderas projects. From here, I'm already asking for another one in Rota. There's a great talent in Rota. And all over Spain, there's a lot of talent. And this program, I'm sure, will have a second version. And I don't have insiders information, but I think that this is working so well that it will continue to adapt itself and to be improved. And I'm sure that someone is thinking about this, but from my point of view, what I can say is that I'm a complete fan of the Lanzaderas project. And I would like to leave you with a final sentence. There are other people here that are very important and need to speak, so I want to leave you with this sentence. The greatest obstacle, the greatest professional obstacle is fearing the mistake. and we need to fall many times and get up again many times in life. And what really determines the way a person is the way you stand up. You need to get up in style. We might be pushed to the ground, we might fall, we might roll, but just stand up always in style. Thank you very much.
En esta mesa,
I told you that here we won't spend 20 minutes because we will be able to speak much more. I would have another question, but otherwise we would end up at 6 p.m. So let's move on with Rocío. Thanks, Lola, for this energy that you are conveying because of all your advices, etc. Now we move to Marta Arandilla. Marta Arandilla is a great veteran. She started as a participant in one of the Lanzaderas in Segovia, and after that she was a technician of Lanzadera in Palencia, and after that Miranda de Ebro and Talavera de la Reina, and now she is ending up in Segovia again, in her in her town. Well, we know a lot about geographies, etc., and we love the Spanish geography. Joan controls it a lot. So, Marta, as a participant, as a technician, what are the key aspects that you've learned out of both roles, and how are you able to contribute to everything?
I have to say that I'm easily moved, just like Joan, so I might end up crying. I wanted to speak in particular. You've mentioned the words closing the circle, and I hope that we're really not closing anything, and I hope that this goes on. I want to tell you about my experience as a participant. I started in the first Lanzadera in Segovia in 2014 with Sara Serna, the coordinator back then, and I had been unemployed for a relatively long time, and I was at that point where that many people know that I was rusted and my self-esteem was at a very low point. I think this happens to many people. And I found the Lanzaderas de Empleo in the newspaper, and it was one of these programs that I just said, I'm going to sign up for this and let's see what happens. And then I was selected, and 4 years ago in November, we started the project, and maybe I didn't need to improve my resume skills, but I improved them, or do an interview better, that I had already done several, but the support of the team for me was key, because when I arrived there and I saw that there was an architect and a chemical engineer, another scientist, etc., and on the first day, everyone goes through that first day, and it's very particular. And when you start seeing that there were many very well prepared people with a lot of experience, but when you started doing the activities that are preliminary to before the project, you realize that many people were exactly like you. And I cannot say that this is exactly a consolation, but you really start feeling a connection with other people. I learned a lot with the workshops, with the activities, visiting the different companies, and I think it was a process that was month by month turning me back into the person that I was before I had been unemployed. Over the 2-3 years that I had been without a job, I realized that I had such low esteem that sometimes I didn't even apply for jobs. And getting in contact with these people really made me go back to the person that I was before. And I remember one day that there was an interview dynamic that we had one day, and a chemical engineer told me, Marta, what's wrong with you is that you don't really believe in your own resume. And Alvaro, this person, told me, no, really, the problem is that you don't believe in yourself. And this was a person that you don't know so well, and it was a person from outside of your world, and this made me think a lot when on my way back to my house. And this is just one of the many examples of situations that I went through over the journey, and this has led to me being really happy right now. So when I started when I was given the opportunity of becoming a technician in one of the lanzaderas, I just thought I would like to help at least one single person the way I have been helped by this project here. And I get emotional just thinking about this. With 120 people have gone already through this program, and like Lola, I'm really grateful. This sounds typical, but for me it's really a gift to be a technician in the lanzadera. As a technician, this experience is impressive, but when I start each lanzadera program, I always tell them about my experience as a participant as well. So I just can say that I'm very happy, and I think I was brief enough.
Hemos conseguido que no lloraras. O sea, que...
Well, you haven't cried, just for now. Okay, you were almost there, but well, we have a long run still, so we'll end up crying. It would be great to have here the more than 10,000 participants of Lanzaderas and to know all the stories that you've been able to live. So I could spend the whole morning telling stories about people. People were telling me, please explain an anecdote or whatever. And our colleagues know that they're bored of listening to different anecdotes of what people do. There's a story in Rota. You will start crying, yeah. No, I won't, no. I'm fine, okay. Lola makes me cry. She shouldn't be here, okay? If she's not here, I wouldn't cry. But it's a very beautiful story. But it was really moving for both of us. But there are many stories that are really moving, and they have to explain them. There's a story that I think that is especially beautiful because it's the story of our number one, fan number one. Fran participated in Cornellà, in Lanzadera. In Cornellà, we have people from the city council here. Paco is one of the most beautiful stories that we've ever seen, because well, we have exactly the same age, and Paco told me at that moment in time I was 54, sorry, and he told me, well, I'm unemployed, and he said, well, how difficult this is. Paco really wanted to work, and he was really enjoying that lanzadera, and a relative of him came along to join the lanzadera. It was a family lanzadera, so to speak. But the amazing thing is when we also in social media that Paco had found a job, and he found a job, first of all, a temporary job in Carrefour, and with his passion and his excitement, now he has a final contract in Carrefour. This is one of the success stories. So Paco, what did you expect to find in Lanzaderas? So when I got to Lanzaderas, I didn't know what Lanzaderas was. The first thing that I saw was a tweet where I saw that the City Council in Cornellà was going to create the first employment Lanzadera in Cornellà. I started to look what that was, etc. I have some friends in Álava, and I saw that the lanzaderas there were being really successful, with a 60% of labor success. So I started to analyze it. I saw that it was a 5 months program, and I said that I'm going to join a 5 months program to look for a job. And they told me 5 months to look for a job. Well, I joined the program. I have nothing else to do. I've been without a job for 2 years. We were going through an important crisis in the textile sector, to which I belong. We've always been gone through a crisis. If it was not Morocco, it was Asia, whatever. Well, I joined the program and started to work in Lanzadera. And the first day that we went there, we were afraid. We didn't know where we were going. We didn't know what that was. There were 20 people. Most of them with my age. They had to change the guidelines, because in Cornellà there were many long-term unemployed people. And so we all got started. We started working. We saw some websites. We went to some entrepreneurs fairs. We had we started to fill up resumes. We started to work as a team. And after 1 month and a half, we received an offer from the city council that told us that at a supermarket was going to become Carrefour, and they were looking for people for its stuff. 8 people from Lanzadera went to the interview, out of which 4 started to work in Carrefour with temporary contracts, and 2 still, as of today, 2 people are still working there. And I would like to say something to the people that now are working in Lanzadera. Although you don't have a result now, the seed that you're leaving will be fruitful in the future. Some days ago, I've received an offer out of a resume that I sent through Lanzadera 1 year and a half ago, and I'm trying to combine both jobs. Please don't give up. Well, this project is amazing, and we have to all be moved, of course. Keep on working, and if you don't see the result now, please be patient. You will make it. Well, we can't say anything after listening to you, Paco. Thank you for letting me be here.
Ya nos vamos a...
From Cornellà, we're moving to Alicante. We have Cristina Esteve. She has been a participant in the last edition of the Alicante Lanzadera, and currently she is working as responsible of the first Hawker's store, the glasses makers. And I've been told that the selection process that led you to get your job was somewhat particular. We would like to know a bit more about that process, and to what extent being a participant in the Lanzadera project helped you face it the way you did it successfully. Well, my name is Cristina. I come from the Lanzadera in Alicante. And the interview that I took was quite particular because I had sent my CV in many occasions, but I hadn't sent it modified. In Lanzadera we had arranged it and fixed it and added my personal brand and other things that I didn't know and that I learned in the Lanzadera. So I sent my CV already modified, and I was very surprised to see that they called me, that they told me that they were going to open a store in the Gran Via street in Alicante. And so we took a group interview in the Lanzadera. We had worked already in the group and individual interviews, but I didn't expect this interview to be like that. So there were 20 people taking the same interview, and they told us that everything that we had seen in previous interviews, that we needed to forget all about it, that it was going to be completely different. So they handed out some documents and papers, and we sat in a new shape, and we had a group dynamic, and each of us had to do their different role. I had to describe a colleague, and I couldn't say his or her name. I just had to describe him or her by his or her clothes. And it was like the game Who is Who. They started asking questions like what are his eyes light colored or dark colored, his hair is dark or blonde, etc. Another person had to dance, and it was very surprising for all the people who were there, but actually what they were looking for is a person with a flow who really represented this idea of a young brand and very dynamic and very young looking brand. And they told us that there could be somebody from the company being part of the applicants in the interview. And one of my colleagues, one of the girls who was there and with whom I'm working right now, somebody told us that it could be us, the person from the company. And obviously it wasn't us, but this was one of their tricks that they used to keep us on edge a bit, just letting us think that there was somebody from the company. Well, for the interview, I think what was important was my attitude and my eagerness to be working for this company. And in Lanzadera, I realized that we all come with a very low steam, and our attitude is very down. And I think for me, the greatest help I've received from Lanzadera is psychological. This has helped me be the person that I have become. I can easily talk in public right now, and I think that we're all capable of doing anything, and I think that's true. I used to be very shy, and now I can be here speaking in public. So how has Lanzadera helped you? Well, I'm 31. I finished my career as a teacher, my degree as a teacher, and I realized that although I had the training, the education, but you need a job that allows you to have a life. I didn't have my driving license, and I was like stuck in this situation. And thanks to Lanzadera, I could find this job, and this has allowed me to change my life completely. In just a few months, I started working with a 6-month contract, and now I'm on a six-month contract. I'm the coordinator of the shop. I'm working with 2 colleagues, and I'm really pleased to be here.
Cristina era tímida y le daba...
Christina was shy and she didn't want to speak in public, but there is something that you can't see. Here we have the responsible of Lanzadera that was absolutely delighted because she was doing it very good. But excuse me, but Ana Castillo has been my fairy godmother. Well, this project is full of fairy godmothers and godfathers. Now you have to cry. Now you have to cry because we all end up crying. I like to explain that Lanzadera has 2 key elements. It's true that Santa María la Real set up a good methodology and with a great team behind. In Fundación Telefónica, we have a team that loves this project. Institutions that collaborate with us believe in that. Because otherwise they wouldn't be here, and they are committed, and they are as moved as we are, and if in fact they are pissed off if we don't tell them that we are doing this type of things. But the key thing here are the 20 participants and every single technician that we have at every Lanzadera, because they are the ones that, well, it is the same methodology with the same story, but there are no similarities between 2 Lanzaderas. They are all different, and when you see a Lanzadera when the same technician, they have nothing to do with the previous one. The magic of this project is that it's a project of people, and we have a person that is really nervous, really nervous, but it's one of the stories that we thought that is really worth to tell. More than 90% of participants in Lanzadera look for working for other people. We are accustomed to work for other people, but there's always somebody that wants to be an entrepreneur. Maybe I'll be wrong with your name, but it's Amaya. Okay, so I was right. I have a terrible brain, and okay, but Amaya is a case that everybody knows in Fundación Santa María la Real and Fundación Telefónica. She was a participant in Talavera de la Reina. I have to say that I have to say congratulations from the manager of employment in Castilla-La Mancha, and she told me that she couldn't come along. We have the General Secretary of Employment, we have Rafa here, and your case is very different because you launched your own business, a healthy cafe. Please tell us what that's about. Why did you do it, and why was Lanzadera useful to launch that adventure?
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm very nervous, as John has said. For me, I started the idea of setting up my own business thanks to my technician who's next to me, who's very close to me here. I was looking for a job like all participants. Now Amaya is going to cry. Yes, I'm possibly possibly I'm going to cry as well, but I'll try to control myself. I was looking for a job, and my case was quite particular. Go ahead and cry, don't worry. It's just a great bunch of people looking at us right now. I arrived at the Lanzadera program, and one thing that I didn't like writing down in my CV, forgive me, I'm getting very emotional. I don't have any studies. I didn't even have my primary school degree because I had started working very early. I had a lot of working experience, but I didn't want to work in any of the jobs I got offered. So I started in Lanzaderas de Empleo. In my first workshop, in my first one-to-one meeting, they asked me, what you want to do, and I said that something related to selling, shopkeeping, and I have a son who's 2 years old, and he's allergic to milk. And while I was breastfeeding, I had to eat the same things he did. And for all this time that he had this allergy, I could barely eat anything in any public places, and I was vetoed from any place, any restaurant or any bar, because many businesses do not risk having an allergic person in their business in case this can cause them troubles. And nobody can imagine how bad you feel when you're in this situation. You can only have a bottle of water in a bar because everything else might have some protein, and it could be dangerous for me. So when I was in this interview and Marta asked me what I wanted to do, I told her about this idea of creating this healthy bar, and I told her about the audience that I was the target audience that I was thinking of, and I had the idea, I had everything, and although it took me some time to make my decision, she actually took me to the right people, to the Chamber of Commerce, and then I got to know the finance programs from the Castilla-La Mancha administration. I got to meet the regional authorities there, and everything was very easily flowing. It helped me to know myself better, to gain in my self-confidence. Right now my business is open since the 20th of April. It's been open, and I have to say that the Instituto de Finanzas has endorsed my project up to 70%, and they have granted me the funding, and without this it would have been impossible to have this project live. And I have another participant who's working with me, a participant in the Lanzadera program that is right now working with me. Currently, I use many of the techniques that I have learned in the Lanzadera, dealing with our colleagues, techniques that Marta and Adrián has shown us, and yes, I have this participant working with me. I saw the way she worked in the project, and every day we work harder, and we want to encourage healthy eating in my town hall, and we have conversations in English for children organized in my bar, and we give them a healthy snack. And when you see them speaking in English, eating some fruit, and being also certain that there's nothing that they cannot eat in the bar, that makes me very happy. And I also wanted to say that started in Lanzadera in October, and right now I just passed the exam to access university, and I'm going to study a nutrition BA in the university. So I'm really happy right now. So if you ask me what Lanzadera de Empleo has meant for me, it has meant everything. My life has really changed dramatically. Thank you.
We have here somebody from Fundación Telefónica. She's the toughest person in Fundación Telefónica, Magdalena, who's the responsible of money, and she's crying. And if we've made Magdalena cry, well, this event is worth it. So thank you very much, Magdalena. This is a story about people that we won't be able to say what a lanzadera is and what it's useful for, but it has changed your lives.
Thank you very much for contributing to writing the story of this program, and first of all for trusting in it from the viewpoint of your as participants or as technicians, and also thank you for investing so much work and putting so much work into it, because Lanzadera really is about deciding what is up to you to do and just doing it. So thank you for all the work that you have put into this program. Thank you also for being here to tell your stories, and thank you, everyone, to all the audience and the people who have come from different institutions and companies, and we cannot thank you enough for making this possible. If any of the pieces is missing, this puzzle wouldn't be possible. Thank you, everyone.
Se lo dije antes que estas historias nos iban.
As I told you before, we were going to be moved by these stories. The story of Amaya, an entrepreneurial story. Paco, who's over 50 and he has found a job. We have a lanzadera senior from Valladolid. It's one of the senior lanzaderas that we have, together with the one from Madrid, and we have also council member from the town hall in Valladolid. And we have stories such as that of Cristina, who is very young and who has been able to find a job. You are an example of motivation for all the participants in the current lanzaderas. For the 29 that we're starting in the end of this month, the next ones that are coming in November, in February and March in the next year, we're going to populate the country with lanzadera programs. Thank you, everyone. Well, thank you for saying all these words, because you gave me some time to recover a little bit. I was really moved. For the next meeting, we will have to bring Kleenex. My script is totally gone. I forgot everything for a minute. We knew that this panel would be emotional, but really this was magical. And it's a luxury to work in foundations such as ours. And I just wanted to say this. Thank you, everyone. Let's leave these emotions behind so we can move forward. It's magic about the lanzaderas and on the collaborative culture, where we have found public administrations in different areas that have allowed us to use their spaces to carry out this program. Also companies who have been hosting the visits, and also who have hired participants from the Lanzadera program. Also social entities who have signed agreements with us and have added improvements to the program, and volunteers from businesses and at an individual level who have shared their knowledge, their experiences with our teams. And one of these people who has given his time without any rewards is Nilton Navarro, the community manager from InfoJobs, who didn't want to miss out this opportunity to share with us a talk about competences or skills for employment. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias. Gracias por el mando. Aquí está. Genial. Pues es verdad, yo soy fan de...
Thank you very much. I'm a great supporter of Lanzaderas. I love what you do. I live that with a passion. Every single person and companies that collaborate for this magic and excitement come true. And of course, your cases of success have really touched me. I'm really emotional now. I'm going to explain the story. Well, this was made by a girl from Andalucía. Lanzadera is in my heart, and I use it for my professional projects. This was a present from her, from this person from Andalucía, and this was because, well, here you can see her. This is because a story that started with a Twitter message. A message that was sent by Sergio Moreno, a psychologist from Andalucía, who told me, "Hey Nilton, I would like that, if it's possible, I would like to hold a webinar for my Lanzadera, because we are speaking about our personal brand and social media." And I told him, yes, of course, let's put a date. After that, he communicated it to all the Lanzaderas in Seville, and they said, well, let's join forces. And it came to Natalia. Natalia, where are you? There she is. Up to the control room, so to speak. And they said, well, know what, we're going to launch a webinar for all Lanzaderas in Spain. We held the webinar, and as a gift, we had all the Lanzaderas there, and it was an important gift. It was a collaborative job, and we were the trending topic in both things that we've hold the webinars. And to me, where you can share your experiences, where you can share your learnings, your good practice, your mistakes, because we'll learn a lot from our mistakes. It's great to share this with all these people that were looking for a job or who wanted to create their personal project. As this girl that we've seen, she's speaking about health, and it's very important for her. So the best thing is to do that. I would like to invite you all, as we had that gift at that moment in time. Of course, thank you guys. I would like to invite you, before starting with the speech, of giving a big round of applause, both for companies and psychologists and trainers. A big round of applause for everybody. This is your applause. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to all the volunteers, because this is really, really important. So we will make Twitter burn a little bit. Here you have the hashtag that you can use for Twitter now, so that everybody knows that we are celebrating the 5th anniversary of Lanzaderas. We'll have more than 500. Now I'm going to write a tweet. It will take 10 seconds. Okay, I'll say that I'm here with you all, and we will start moving in social media. If you want to retweet it, likes or whatever, and to share it, 5 years of Lanzaderas, 5 años Lanzaderas. This is the hashtag. Tweet it. Okay. So if you want, you have @Nilton Navarro, and you can start moving that hashtag so that everybody knows that we are celebrating this beautiful project. Hashtag 5 años Lanzaderas, 5 years Lanzaderas. Now we're going to get started with this important topic. Wait. Okay, the digital competences in order to improve your labor future. Today, companies are demanding professionals with digital competences. And we're going to speak about what type of competences they need. And we are not speaking about the competences to go from one place to another. We are speaking about the competences, skills of social media leadership, digital transformation, this digital ecosystem that we have to work in. And these digital competences are key. The job recruiters are demanding these competences. They depend on your motivation, on your learning, the collaborative job. I know that you have this in your veins, so that's great. In order to handle the use of new technologies, because technologies are changing dramatically day after day, and we have to be at their pace. So, what do these digital competences encompass? Knowledge, skills, abilities, values, attitude, etc. This comes to attitude in capital letters, because attitude is key. I've been analyzing the cases of success, and I think that we'll have many of these cases in the Lanzaderas, but one of the key factors is attitude. Attitude in front of our lives. Attitude, we just have to say, well, I'm going to jump, and if I fall, no problem, I will learn from my mistakes, and that's a beautiful thing. We can learn from our mistakes. We are not always successful, because learning comes from mistakes many times. These mistakes will take us to learn, to develop our best practices, and in order to innovate and to have the goal of where we want to go to. Digital competences were optional some time ago. For example, 2 weeks ago, I attended a speech with Lanzadera of Gabá, and they were analyzing the resume, social media, personal brand, and maybe some years ago, some companies or recruiters were asking for people that were able to use office packages or different design programs, social media, new trends, etc. This was before. Today, these skills are essential. Today, all professionals must have in their veins, in their body, all these new technologies. These recruiters are looking for these people that help them innovate and reach much further in order to accomplish the company's goals, because eventually companies want to have more profits depending on the sector they're working in. Here we can see the evolution of how the desks have changed. Here we are speaking about 1990, we are going to go to 2004. Here you can see with all the innovation, new technologies, all the competences that are created, applications, etc., many things disappear, and they will all focus on just one thing, in just one place. These apps that now, here you have them. All these apps are in the computer 2014, but everything is in our cell phones, of course. And thanks to our cell phone, we can reach many more persons through social media. You can create an app for your new project. All these things can be created. And as we have innovated in this technology, digital competences change and innovate themselves. So I'm going to tell you what we need now. We need efficient people today. Companies are looking for these efficient persons, not with efficacy. That's different. To have efficacy is to know, well, I can do these things, but to be efficient is to say, well, I can be much more productive because I know how to do things and to do things well in a very fast way. So these are the 8 digital competences that every professional must have. No matter you're looking for a job, you want to change your job, or if you're working, because you have to move on constantly. So first of all, we have digital knowledge. This is key. We have to be aware of everything that is going on in the digital world. The second one is the information management. Today we can have everything in our cell phones, not only in social media, but also in the documents that we can have. For example, if we are looking for a job offer, what they are asking for a demo, or if we are focused on graphic designers, we can have that stored in just one place to share it with just one link, and to have that labor opportunity and not missing it. So these are examples that we can where we can use new technologies to store the information in just one place, and with our cell phone we can do almost everything. Third aspect is the network job. I know that you have you understand this. We have worked this way in webinars. We have joined forces. We have been trending topic, and we have made it all together. We have worked as a team. Digital communication is also very important, because it must help us improve as professionals and as persons, because we always have to innovate and we always have to do different and new things. It's very important to jump, to offer new services, new products, and to ask ourselves, and why not? Why shouldn't I do this? And to remove that sentence of, I'm going to do this because I've always done this and it has worked. We should change that way of thinking. So continuous learning if we are actively seeking for a job, if we're working, if we want a new labor future, if we want to be entrepreneurs, this is continuous and constant learning. We have to keep on learning. We have to innovate. We have to catch up in our sector. We have to be specialized in our topics, in our subjects. And if we have to work on something because of whatever that is not fully satisfactory for us, we should have the goal of where we want to go. Okay, maybe this is not the job that you're going to have for the rest of your life, but maybe it will be what we have to do in order to move on. We have the strategic view. We need a strategy for anything. On social media, your new project, your personal brand, you must have a strategic view, and you put your goals on a short, medium and long-term basis. And if we don't accomplish the goal in the term that we have agreed on, we have to redirect our pace, we have to redirect our way of thinking in order to accomplish that. We have the network leadership. I think that it is well established, but maybe there are some companies that still haven't transformed digitally. There are some companies that have not empowered people. A person that is happy in a company is much more productive, is much better professional, and it will help you much more accomplish much better results. We have to be customer oriented. This is what companies want, because if we give the customer what the customer needs at that moment in time and fast, we will have much better results. And if we are focused on if we are customer focused, we as entrepreneurs, we will have much better results. And companies, internally speaking, must be focused on people and workers, on the collaborators that have to be very, very important and have to work as a team. And as well, apart from the digital competences, I've brought some things that recruiters have told us. Maybe if they're seeking actively for a job, these are the keys that you could mention in your resume or at your job interview, or to spread it out through the social media in terms of the skills that are demanded in companies. These are the most demanded skills in companies. If I made a ranking, we've asked about that to recruiters, and we move from number 10 to number 1. First of all, result approach. This is the customer orientation. We have tolerance or pressure tolerance. Maybe you've lived this, I'm sure of that. Maybe you are tired. Maybe you have a boss instead of a leader. This is very different. So there's a moment of reflection when you say, well, I must have emotional intelligence to cope with the situation, and maybe to stop, not to be stressed, and prevent this from happening, because maybe you could go through this. We have creativity. We always have to do new things. Companies must, or leaders must let us be creative, to test new products, new tools, new communication channels. We have to test different things. We are all creative. Empathy. Maybe there are people that are not empathic because they don't like it, because they haven't seen how positive this could be. So this empathy in the working team, in a labor environment, is really useful. Proactivity. I think that this could be summarized in jumping to do things differently, new things, and especially thinking of the goal that has been set from the company, from your manager, your principal, or whatever. The capability of having an efficient communication. I would like to mention something that has been mentioned in the case of success. Our education system has not taught us to speak in public. Maybe we don't know how to give a speech. This is not just about what I'm doing. Maybe you're at a board of directors, at your job interview. So as different compared to the US. In the US, they teach children how to speak in public. They go to public discussions when they are 10 years old. They have a great capability of speaking in public. They are great in doing that. I love that. And we can change that, of course. This is why we have to be self-learners. And what is your name, sorry? Christina was saying, well, I don't know how to speak in public, but I try my best. I didn't know how to speak in public, and I tried my best to. And I held the webinars, and I did it. And we can all do it, because the system that we've learned with has not prepared us for these key moments, but we can develop these competences and these skills. Adaptation to change. We must know what our goal is. Of course, we want to be the unicorn there, but we should keep fighting for our dreams, for that goal that we have set. And the adaptation to change in companies is key, because trends change, technologies innovate, and especially we have to change the path. For example, in 3 months' time we've changed sometimes, and of course you have to change everything, and the adaptation to change in your professional life, in your career, is key. Another thing that is really important is the capability to make decisions. We have two important things. One of them is that you have to be proactive, and the other thing is that your manager, the company, has to give you that confidence so that you become empowered. And something that you have to do is to believe in you. You have to trust in you. Lanzadera helps you not only jump and take your life, but to develop everything. I love the philosophy in Lanzadera program, and I take it all over the place. I take it everywhere, to the speeches, presentations, etc., because Lanzadera program changes your life. So I love it. And if it helps us make decisions, that's great. Capability to solve conflicts. Sometimes we could have a hard feeling in our job with a colleague or whatever, but we must have the capability of solving these conflicts that at that moment we are having. We could be speaking about a manager, maybe the company, the CEO of the company, or maybe the person that is sitting next to you, your collaborator. And the first thing, although it looks very logical, this is what recruiters are looking for: capability of working in a team. This capability of working in a team, oh yes, it's true. We can work in a team very easily. Sometimes we could we can put an example. So let's start this way. We're going to work as a team, okay? We can do something big. Well, I'm going to record it. We're going to try to make a wave starting from here. After that, we'll go there and we'll end up here, okay? So let's start. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Muy bien.
Cool, yeah.
Si todos podemos trabajar en equipo.
If we are all able to work as a team, we even had fun. We even laughed. And we can do this in our job. We can be happy in our jobs. And it's possible. It's possible to be happy at job. So apart from this big applause for this wave, I knew that we were going to make it. So, as my final statement, I would like to tell you something very important for every context. And depending on the moment of your life, where you are, it's something very important. Enjoy, learn new things, enjoy, have fun, and especially smile. Because a day without smiling is a missed day. Thank you.
Aquí está.
Gracias. Gracias, Nilton.
Thank you, Nilton, for your support for the program and for that message that we can be happy at work. Of course you can. We will try to emulate a wave once in a while to remember this point. Nilton has spoken about the importance of the digital competences and skills. The Lanzadera program is very aware of this, and so like the companies who are supporting them. I don't know if you remember the data that we saw before on the screens. Among those data, we told you that there had been over 12,000 contacts with the companies over this 5 years. This reflects the proactivity and the drive towards change that the participants in the program have. Among all these companies, there are many who have collaborated over these years. We have Natalia Serrano, who's a colleague, and she's the responsible for creating this tissue of alliances. And there's one particular partner for us, that is ADECO, and we have Santiago Soler, who's the Secretary General of ADECO. And now the audience can participate to the Santiago Soler. We thank him for being here today in his 5th anniversary, and we wanted to ask him if ADECO decides to participate in this journey. We have learned a lot, especially thanks to your volunteers. Why ADECO has decided to join in this adventure?
La respuesta es un poco...
Well, the answer is very easy, because we're seeing everything that we're living here today. ADECO had to be here. There's an obvious reason. And we had to be here because we had to help people. We professionally help people find a job. Our job is to help other people's work. And as an expert in the labor market, we know how the market works. We know what the needs are, and we try to convey our knowledge so that people are able to face how to write their resume, how to improve their skills, how to face an interview, and how to help them for this become a reality. As you were saying this morning with this important percentages, we try to convey our experience to our volunteers, and people are delighted, of course. What have we learned? A lot. I think that is in the spirit of today's meeting. What we've learned out of this process, that people, when they start working together, try their best. We have seen how great bunch of commitment, creativity, innovation, etc. emerge when people start working together. When public institutions, administration, companies, non-profit entities, etc. If we all join together, we are unstoppable. We have an increasing number of people in our organization. We have 2,000 employees, the ones that are developing this initiative. So we have the request of participating more. We have it all over the place. We know the market in Spain, and there's a great excitement, a great level of excitement, so we will keep supporting this program.
Thank you, Mr. Soler, and thank you, ADECO, for their collaboration. Well, we're going to move forward, giving the audience a voice, and we're going to come here to this area to talk to one of the participants in the Lanzadera programs that represents this collaborative culture that we have been talking about all morning. His name is Jose Maria, nicknamed Tema, and who has even dared to deliver some workshops in the Lanzadera program.
My experience has been really positive, although I said that it was a little bit skeptical because, well, I had a great experience before. I didn't know if Lanzadera was for me. And when I got involved, I knew that there was room for me, not only for me, but also to convey part of this professional experience that I had, and as a auto trainer to my colleagues. So what I've been able to do, both in graphic design and online presence, etc., and I insist them a lot because many of them still don't have LinkedIn. They will have it. They'll have it soon. I think that it has been really useful for them to take something positive from me, and at the same time, I've taken something very positive from them. So it has been a two-way line, so to speak. A win-win, of course.
Thank you for your generosity and for sharing all your knowledge with the rest of the participants.
Yo me voy a quedar en este sector, que es el sector.
I'm going to stay here in the Lanzaderas segment. We're going to create our own vocabulary now. So I have Mar Quintero here. Mar is the technician of the Lanzadera in Salamanca. We were meant to have 5 people from Salamanca, such as we have 5 people from the 16 Lanzaderas that were active, but from Salamanca only came 4. And it looks like we did this on purpose, but we didn't. And this is part of the magic that Lanzaderas is about. Why are there only 4 of you? Well, it's only 4 of us because the 5th participant has found a job, and precisely thanks to a visit that we made 10 days ago to one of the companies, so it went very well with this vice director. She had a first interview while I was there, and I was just there as an observant, and then she was called again for a further interview, and she started working this Monday. So I hope that all these misses are due to such good reasons. She was very sad, Beridis, because she was really wishing she would meet you, but it was for a good reason. We hope that if there's a cancellation in the future, it's for a reason as good as this one. We have still time for another person, to listen to another person. We're going to Zaragoza to talk to Manuel from Zaragoza. He's also one of the participants who has turned into a technician. Tell us about your experience, please.
Mejor.
Pues voy a contar.
Okay, yes, if you let me, I'm going to tell a love story and a magic story. 2 years ago, when I was ending my degree, a great friend of mine gave me a bracelet like this one, and it was the same. It's the same that has given me this bracelet, and he told me, ask for a wish. When it breaks down, your wish will come true. And yes, I wished to work at something that makes me feel passion and that I love it, that fills me up, emotionally speaking. You always want to work and you don't want to feel that you're working, okay? So last year my bracelet broke up. I was taking grapes, so it was like, oh no, my God. And 1 month later, I was told that the Lanzadera of Villarrobledo was going to start. I didn't know what that was. As our colleague has said, Joan Cruz, I still can't explain what a Lanzadera is. And I joined there as a participant, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. The collaborative culture has been in me, so to speak, in order to finish my degree. And well, with my colleagues, I gave them a hand. I helped them making their resumes with LinkedIn. And my technician at an employment fair in Madrid told me, have you ever thought about working in a Lanzadera, a social program? It looks like, you like to work with people. And I had a degree in economy, and I had not thought about that. So I put the seed. There it was. I was sending CVs as an accountant, everything that had to do with my degree. And when I was going to finish the Lanzadera program, I said, well, I really like this. And my technician gave me the opportunity, Lidia Jimeno. She's marvelous. And she gave me the possibility of working in Lanzaderas. I sent the resume. I got in touch with Eloisa. She is there at the back, and they made an interview. And the truth is that, she told me, "Are you willing to travel? Do you have geographic availability? Would you like to work with us?" And I said, "Well, wherever it's necessary." Some days later, they told me that there was a Lanzadera in Zaragoza. I took my bag, I took my luggage, and okay, so you make your living. So I went to the train to Aguilar de Campo with amazing colleagues, and after that I moved to Zaragoza to make my living. And I have a precious and marvelous team that is highly committed, and it has been the great experience in my life. And I can say that it has been a love story and a magic story. Love because I fall in love with this job. I fall in love with Lanzaderas as a project. It has changed my life dramatically. People that join the project join with some ideas and they leave it with different ideas. People improve their capabilities to find a job, and people find their job profile. So that's priceless. It's marvelous. So that's it. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you for your experience, for sharing your experience with us. I just want to know where to buy those magical bracelets. Thank you, Manuel. I think we have the time for another story, and I would like to throw the mic to the last row bench from the Lanzadera Senior in Valladolid. When we started the program with the Lanzadera programs, all the profiles were of young people, but since then we have opened this to reach out to all the different communities. And in the new modes of lanzaderas that have been implemented, the sector one in Valladolid, another one's in Madrid, we have also pursued this path in Valladolid, and we have one that is mainly only for people aged 40 and plus, because from that age we understand that the obstacles are bigger, and we want to remove these obstacles, and we want to prove that talent does not depend on your birthday. And this is why we want to leave the mic to the Lanzadera Senior in Valladolid to see how they're fighting against these obstacles. Good morning, everyone. I'm the coordinator of this Lanzadera, and I'm very proud to see that the team that I coordinate is the anti-senior team, because you would always say that senior people are not updated in terms of technological advances or digital world, but on the contrary, they not only have the professional experience, but they also have a life experience, and they're very aware of all these technologies and all the skills that Nelton has mentioned before, the ability of making decisions, crisis management, etc. These people have them all. And tomorrow everyone is invited, because we are celebrating some sessions in the municipality to demonstrate everything that I'm telling you about now. We have an encounter with the companies, and in order to plant our seed, in order to achieve mindset change, so that they don't believe that people who are above 40 are not ready to work, when it's just quite the opposite. So I take this opportunity that Soraya has given me to promote these sessions that we're holding tomorrow. And that's all I wanted to say, and this is our little bit of help that we can provide, and I thank you all for allowing us to carry out our work. Thank you, Maria Jesus. We are reaching to the last stage of our event today, and we're going to getting to the point to say our goodbyes, which are going to be very emotional. But now we want to greet here Peridis Jose Maria. He's a master who has a humanistic perspective and who had this great idea and moved us forward to us and Charlie, as we call him in the foundation family, and all the employment team, and he set up these Lanzaderas programs. So Jose Maria, for some people you don't need long presentations, so I'll leave the floor to you.
Bueno, ¿qué decir después?
Oh, what could I say after everything has been said and how you said it? Well, you've talked about happiness. I'm not here to speak about lanzaderas. I'm going to speak about happiness. There's a famous book of the Bertrand Russell Nobel Prize that is called The Conqueror of Happiness. They do not propose to go to a lanzadera. They had not been invented yet. Lola Rueda had spoken about happiness, and many of you have spoken about happiness. I'm going to use a Chinese statement to see what happiness is. And there are some very happy moments for a Chinese person that is called, well, this is called qin. And it says, well, it has been raining for a month and I'm laying on my bed as if I was drunk and I don't want to get up. Suddenly, I hear some birds that announce a clear day. I open the curtain, I open the window, and I see a beautiful sun that is shining, and the forest invites me to have a bath, to take a bath. So isn't this happiness? I've been able to open the window, and I've been able to expel a wasp. Isn't this happiness? When it's dark, I listen that somebody's thinking of me in the distance. I'll visit this person the day after, and he told me, "Are you hungry too? Let's come with me and have breakfast." Isn't this happiness? Without the willing of building a house, I got an amount of money with which I bought stones, bricks, nails, etc. And finally, they've ended up building the house. They've swept the house. We have the all the pictures on the walls, etc. And all workers have left. All my friends have arrived, and they are sitting down at different places, etc. Isn't this happiness? I'm drinking in a winter night, and suddenly I feel that the night is really, really cold. I open the window, and I see how it's snowing. Big snowflakes, and there are 10 centimeters on the floor. Isn't this happiness? I'm cutting watermelon on a plate. The watermelon is very, very fresh. Isn't this happiness? 7 years ago, all the media, well, this is mine, that there are more than 5 million unemployed people, and among them the most well-prepared, the best prepared generation in our history. And we should do something. So I wonder, what could I do? I wonder, why don't people help each other? And I thought about something. Well, isn't this happiness? The president of the handball team in Toledo that is trained by my brother-in-law, Julian, left. So my brother-in-law joined a coaching course, and after having dinner, I explained the idea of the fact that, well, unemployed people help other unemployed people find a job, etc. And he thought that it was fantastic, but he told me that the key aspect is that the unemployed people should work as a team. Isn't this happiness? So where should we get started? Julian told me that the first thing that we have to do is to put a name. I started thinking in platforms, and I thought about lanzaderas. Okay, we got it. So this is done. We have the name, we have the project. Okay, isn't this happiness? So my friend Magdalena Valerio retired. He was key in launching the workshop schools. I went to see him at his room in the Ministry of Employment, and I explained the idea and I added all the details. They were able to learn doing and do learning, but what are they going to do in the lanzaderas? Their job is to look for a job. So isn't this happiness? We must have a pilot experience. As Julian and I were in Santander, we had lunch with the old directors of workshop schools, Eduardo and Angeles, who was the general manager of the public service of employment in Cantabria. And she promised to try to convince the social agents and to set the first lanzaderas. Isn't this happiness? So 1 year after, the first lanzadera was launched. The first one selected my brother-in-law Julian. After 15 days he called me that there are 2 people that have looked that have found a job. A truck driver, for example. Isn't this happiness? In Bilbao, I had the chance of explaining the project to Laszlo Andor, the European Commissioner of Labour. He had to speak in English. I don't speak English at all. At least I can understand it a little bit. So I told Alvaro, well, do you have the computer around? I took four sheets. I made 4 drawings, and there was an elevator pitch to these are the drawings. These are colored, but the other words were black and white. Lanzadera, the unemployed in the water, the second drawing. Well, they are rowing. They are a team. We are a team. They are getting close to the shore. There's a project, unemployed volunteers, visible positives, and solidary people, and clouds are willing to help. Next drawing. Okay, so there's a reef here. We have to improve our attitude, because otherwise we won't be able to climb and to help ourselves find a job. The sun is smiling. How this day? Well, this was the first sunny day after a lot of months of rain. We have solidarity, volunteers, foundations, universities, the public bodies, and Europe. Isn't this happiness? The commissioner was flipping out. He started to take pictures, and he almost took a selfie with me. Isn't this happiness? 2 months after European election, he was removed from his position. Isn't this terrible? So we managed that Caixa Foundation funded entrepreneurship an entrepreneurship platform in Aguilar de Campo. We had other different lanzaderas. We attended a labor fair in Palencia and in Arganda, and we saw that the participants have shiny eyes. Isn't this happiness? I told my idea to Felix Losada in Deloitte, and he told me that there are many facilities that are empty. For example, there are places that are empty where employees could meet. And I told him that it would be better to meet at the city council, city hall facilities with a coach, with a project, etc. And he told me, okay, but stop looking for sponsors. Look just for one sponsor, and you'll make it. That was a great idea by Felix. Isn't this happiness? So we met the president of Deloitte. Well, Felix Losada informs the president of Deloitte, Fernando, who is from Alcázar de San Juan. We have Manolo, who was the coordinator of a lanzadera in Piélagos, and he explains what a lanzadera is and what a lanzadera does. And he told me, well, the success of lanzaderas is because it is a transformation project. So isn't this happiness? My friend Eduardo Aznar, who has went away, I'm going to slap him. So Patron de Santa Maria made an appointment with the President Alierta of Telefónica to speak about new technologies in terms of communication. And to that meeting, in that meeting we had Emilio Gil Olmo, General Director of the Telefónica Foundation. Isn't this happiness? When the meeting was over, I remember what Felix Losada told me, and I know that I can't miss the opportunity of explaining lanzaderas without knowing that I'm making an elevator pitch to Alierta. I told him, what about joining 20 unemployed people at a local facility so that they can help each other find a job? And before getting to the lift, I had explained the idea. Isn't this happiness? I looked back and I saw the Ministry of Labour sitting down on the first row and the director of Telefónica Foundation. Isn't this happiness?
Al cabo de 2 meses
After 2 months, I met with Emilio Gil Olmo, and he told me that Carmen de la Serna and Matías will travel to Aguilar to see a lanzadera on the field. I have 3 hours to make an elevator pitch. Okay, so isn't this happiness? Telefónica Foundation chose the Lanzaderas program in their project Todos Incluidos and thinks about launching 50 lanzaderas. Isn't this happiness? As the program needs organization and logistics, we have Rocío and Álvaro in full-time and Soraya in communication. Isn't this happiness, dear friends? As we have to jump on, I was looking for my brothers-in-law's advice, Jesus, Insa, and Fernando Panizo, who had a great responsibility in companies and public administration. Although they're not very old, we try to give the advice that we need. So the fact of being surrounded by friends, volunteers that are so wise, isn't that happiness? After some time, there was a call of the social fund, and in Telefónica Foundation we found the co-financer that we needed. We can increase the program and we can guarantee it for 3 years. Isn't that happiness? A friend of mine's son wanted to look for a job, but he doesn't dare to ask me to get a recommendation, and I told him, go to your city council and ask them to be registered in the Lanzadera. And he phoned me some days after. Isn't that happiness? I was told that in 5 months' time there are more than 60% of insertions, and after 5 months I know that almost all of them will have will have a job. Isn't this happiness? I was invited to give a speech here with more than 10,000 participants, with the Ministry of Labor, Magdalena Valerio, with representatives from the European Union and the Social Fund, and volunteers. And apart from that, José María San Magallón will have Luismi, and apart from that, Joan Cruz, and a very important group of participants and coordinators. And I see that they all have shiny eyes. So isn't this happiness? Thank you very much.
Bueno. Muchas gracias, José María.
Thank you, José María. Thank you, Perides, for your words and for your particular commitment and passion for the Lanzadera programs. To be happy is what we experience, to be able to work with the Foundation Santa María la Real and with such an interesting project. We have found along these 5 years many different partners, and one of them is very special to us, which is Espacio Fundación Telefónica, and another partner for us that is in 2016 the European Social Fund arrival. And now we would like to leave the floor to the director of the representation of the European Commission in Spain, Dr. Fonseca Morillo.
Buenas tardes todo el mundo.
Good afternoon, everybody. Here we have to start saying Minister, Manager of the Foundation, dear friends. After listening to Perides, I just wanted to say a couple of things. Thanks, Perides. And thanks, and I'm going to tell you why. Because when I was told you have to go to this closing event, when I was compiling some information, I felt how important it was, not only because I'm from Valladolid and we have had some people from Valladolid here. It's important what we're doing. And I started to see figures, 60% of people employed, 12 million from the social fund, but I know that something was behind. And I would like to say thank you to Paredes because of everything. Paredes, this is happiness. I was there in Santander with Ander, and I had forgotten that. What means that the drawings didn't arrive to their destination. I will have to make it up. Well, after saying thank you to everybody for what you're doing, I wanted to, well, from the bottom of my heart, the bottom of my soul, I wanted to tell you that beyond formal speeches, what you're doing here is key, because everybody that is in Europe is speaking about the social market economy, the social pillar of social rights in Europe, and you are doing two things. First of all, you're moving from you're walking the talk. Drop by drop, you can do a lot. And you're collaborating, and there's something key that you are making, that this something the terrible aspect of the movie that is called Los Lunes al Sol, you are helping that this loneliness, this feeling of saying I'm not useful for anything, is solved with solidarity. Dear Minister, you are now who has to force the European Commission. She's a very active minister in the councils in Luxembourg, in Brussels, etc. You have to set a partnership from the top. But this is not the important thing. The important thing is that you keep on working and keep on moving, because it's not only about solidarity. It's not only about solidarity. It's not only about developing with your help, with the Fundación Telefónica, a common project to do something. We are putting a part of our future economic future at risk. Lanzaderas, entrepreneurship actions to seek for a job in group. This is an essential part of the economic growth plan in the European Union. A country as Spain, with its level of with its unemployment rate, has key elements. The percentage of employability, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the self-employed people guarantee, the micro companies, the small companies, etc., is exactly the same, 32 or 33% that guarantee the big companies. We have these figures here. Not everything comes from the top. Not everything comes from the fact that I'm an amazing engineer and I've been hired by Google. It works from the bottom with specific projects. And I had a speech, but dear Paredes, as we were speaking about happiness, I've decided to improvise. This is why my last statement is the same as the first one. Thanks for being there. Thanks for being there, because this means that with a little bit of help, or as a Ringo Starr would say, with the help of my friends, with a little help of my friends, we could understand each other. The ones that are in Europe saying, I'm going to explain how your well-being works, and practically speaking, the fact that you say, yes, you're right, or no, you're wrong, we can do it better. Sorry for not having come along before. I've listened the name of Valladolid, so that's great. But I would like to tell you that in Paseo de la Castellana 46, well, this is your home. My door will always be open, and I will always try to convey this message of happiness that is necessary from the economic growth point of view. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias, señor.
Thank you Mr. Fonseca Morillo, for your happiness message that you have left us with. And I will leave the floor to our General Director of Fundación Telefónico, José María Sanz Magallón.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much, Minister of Labor, Migration and Social Security, José María Pérez Peridis, with whom from the Telefónica Foundation, everybody that's here, we have an unpayable debt in the literal sense because we won't pay it. But I think that you feel well paid with the things that you're doing. Well, dear Director of the European Union in Spain, President of the Foundation, José María Pérez, I had made my homework with some words, etc. But after listening to José María and after seeing the energy that we have here, I think that reading some words, no matter how well written they are, makes no sense. Because we speak from our soul and we speak from our feelings, and it is how proud we feel and how happy we feel in Telefónica Foundation because of working with Fundación Santa María la Real, with the Economic Social Fund, and with many other institutions in this program. This has been a great happiness for us. By the way, now in the city councils, etc., we are having happiness councils, etc., happiness directors. I mean, I would propose José María because he would play a great role in this sense. I've also, well, I'm sorry for not having been able to listen to his whole speech. I think that he came along with the idea of 10 lanzaderas. He talked to César Alierta and he said, no, we must have 50. Eventually we've had 500 and we are still working on that. So it's a dream come true. This morning a journalist asked me about the success of this program, Lanzaderas program. And I think that among others is that when we speak about public and private collaboration, it has been the best example from the European Union to the city councils of relatively small cities, regions, institutions as Telefónica Foundation, etc. Everything around an idea that is an initial idea of José María Pérez. We've been able to make it grow. So figures are impressive: 500 lanzaderas, 11,000 people, 62% of labor insertion. But what I think is important to think of is that behind these figures there are people. This is something that we sometimes forget. When we think of the people, we are filled up by happiness and we have the need of doing more. From Telefónica Foundation we believe that we are living a key moment for the history of humankind, a moment with a great, very big opportunities where the potential that society has to create wealth is fantastic, but it's key not to leave anybody aside from the point of view of education and from the point of view of from the labor market. In Madrid we had the experts of the most important experts in education in the world, and they were discussing about education in the digital world, and the conclusion that they drew is that the humanism is very important. The human being must be in the middle of everything. Maybe this would be the leitmotif. And with these projects we think that we are making it. It's very important that everybody is able to take advantage of this important digital revolution. They say that there are two ways of not boring the audience. The first of all is to be funny, and the other one is being brief. This is the one that I'm going to use. This is absolutely key, and it always works. So without further ado, after everything that has been said and closing this morning, so I'll shut up and I'll give the floor to the minister. And we are especially thankful for the difficult agenda that she always has, but the fact of the fact of that she's here today is great. It's another miracle that José María Peridis makes. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much, José María. We are going to leave the floor to the minister, and thank you for your messages, and skip the script and just tell us about the important message. And we are lucky to have the Minister of Employment, Immigration and Social Security, so she can close this session, this event today. Please greet Magdalena Valerio. Good morning, everyone. Friends, dear José María Pérez Peridis, José María Sanz Magallón, General Director of the Fundación Telefónica, and dear Peridis, I left a meeting in my office. I delegated in the Secretary of State for Employment to be here this morning because I didn't want to miss this happy moment. Obviously, as ministers have the right to find these little moments for happiness, because sometimes as public figures have more problems and duties and responsibilities than moments for happiness. I disagree. There are things that do not turn out well sometimes, it's true, but there are many other things that really turn out well, such as this project of the Lanzaderas de Empleo. I do have a few words written down, and I would like to stick to them, although I usually find it very difficult because I don't like reading too much. But if I don't, I'm not known for being very concise. I think quite the opposite. So I'll try to read my written words for you today. Well, the first thing I would like to do is greet you all and congratulate all of the people who have participated in any of the Lanzaderas de Empleo that have been carried out over these years, because you are an example of overcoming the problems, and you help us making more sense of our task of providing a public service that we have to do, all politicians in this country, every day. Sometimes we miss the goal and we don't quite achieve it, but we need to have this very clear in our minds, and who we are responsible, in front of whom we are responsible. When Pedro Sanchez offered me the post of minister, one of the first things I thought is the great responsibility I was accepting by being part of the government of my country, because my life was somewhat comfortable as a public clerk. I wasn't in the politics, in the first line of politics, and I was carrying out volunteering activities as well, and my responsibilities were not as great as those that I have acquired a little over 4 months ago. But I told myself that I could not say no to not to Pedro Sanchez. I could have said no to Pedro Sanchez and the president as a figure, but I shouldn't say no to my country, to this great country of ours. And I couldn't say no to all the people, the millions of people that right now are depending on the ministry that I represent here today. That is the ministry of people, of the people who are lucky to have a job, because currently in this country, with over 3 million of people unemployed, we can be considered lucky if we have unemployment. But also to all the people, 34% of youngsters who are unemployed and who are looking for an opportunity for a new job, and to all those millions of people who are receiving a pension right now and who want to keep having it, and to all of us who are not still receiving it, but we would like to receive it when the time comes, and all these children and these teenagers who depend on all these people that I mentioned before, unemployed, employed people, pension receivers, etc. So this is the ministry of people. So I couldn't say no to my country or to the ministry of people, and I couldn't say no because I was a child once too, and this country gave me an opportunity. When I was 9 years old, I could come to Madrid to take an exam and receive a scholarship, and I went to Santa María del Castillo, to a school in Butrago de Lozoya to study, to become especially an expert drawer, and then I kept studying thanks to scholarships up until I was 22 in the law school in the University of Madrid. So thanks to this opportunity that I was given by this country, I can be here today, this morning, in this emotional and moving event. So I'm really grateful forever to this country for these opportunities. And maybe somebody might wonder why two people with such a great career success, such as César Alierta, who couldn't join us today, and Peridis, at this moment of their lives, they want to get involved in complicated projects that are devoted to helping other people when they could be enjoying their leisure in anywhere in this country or anywhere in the world. But the answer is very simple, and that it's because of the things that they do, they also want a better country, and they're moved by the same drive that moved me 4 months ago to say yes to our president, to achieve a better country with greater equality, with greater transparency. And we can only achieve this by using all the skills, all the competences, all the talents of the whole of our society. The well-being of a society is not only measured by the well-being of a company or several families, or by the GDP that we hear all the time about all these major figures, or the risk prime, which is very advantageous for us that it's the levels are low, but the well-being of a country is really measured by the social cohesion level, by our democracy maturity, and the low level of vulnerability of people and families. This is the way we can really measure how big a country is, and to achieve this goal is a shared responsibility among, first of all, the government led by Pedro Sánchez, but also by the local governments, the regional governments, and the European governments as well. Europe, that is so important. And right now, by some political parties that are being so, whose image has been so deprecated by everyone, and many people want less European Union, more xenophobia, more racism, more sexism, when we right now need more than ever a solid European Union, and to promote the social pillar of the European Union. Next year we're having European polls, and we hear that someone tells us that it doesn't matter if we vote or not, or what's the use of the European Union. We should not pay attention to these people. The European Union helps together with other drivers, but it enables us to start projects such as the one of the Lanzaderas de Empleo and many other projects that are being co-funded or funded by the European Social Fund, the FEDER among them, the FEOBA fund, etc. There are many funds that we are receiving for different projects, and it's very important that we take into account this funding that we receive from Europe. And this is so because we belong to a European common area that is increasingly important in our decision making. So we need to encourage more Europe. Our government wants to be in the first line to present the best projects, because the new funds will be debated very soon, and we want to be there, to be present there, to lead all the possible funds allocation, and some of these funds will be decided in sort of competition, and we want to receive as much as possible, because this will improve the quality of people's lives. Also, in this space that we belong to, it's key that we have a coalition between the public powers and the civil society. As the General Director mentioned, and also Peridis before, it's key that we have a private initiative and a civil society that help fight all the issues that we face in our country, including unemployment, especially the unemployment among the younger people. People who are unemployed for over 2 years, or who have different skills and have difficulties in accessing the regular labor market. And we also need to take into account the gender view. Many people say that doesn't matter, that women have equal opportunities as the Constitution states and the law states, and that it's only a matter of being able to get to our goals. But women, we represent above 50% of humanity, of society, and we have thousands of years of obstacles on our backs and of difficulties to reaching our goals. So we need to remove the obstacles that we are facing, so that this equality is real and an effective equality. And this is not just in black and white by the law or by our constitution. So we need to keep on working on equality at every level, and also finding an employment equality as well, taking measures such as having more schools from 0 to 3-year-olds, such as the president of the government was saying a couple of days ago. These schools, and also more stability in the jobs. If we don't have more stability and less precarious jobs, both women and men will find it difficult to have more and more children, which is important, among other things, in order to maintain the public, the society in the future. So we need to remove obstacles such as not having schools for 0 to 3 years old, more better schedules, so that people can match their lives and their work, and more education, so that women do not have to take care of the elder or the sick, etc. And also a greater share of the responsibilities in the households among women and men, and also more equality in the politics and also in the company boards, and also more equality in the households. This is key. And for this, to achieve this goal, there's a lot of work to do. Peridis, you're a model in involvement in initiatives that help society. You have done it again. You have led a new way of helping people being trained and finding jobs. You did it in the 1970s when you recovered the monastery of Santa Maria la Real that it gives the name to the foundation, and also with the workshop schools that later were opened all over the country. In my role in Castilla-La Mancha as a public authority, I met the efficiency of these schools firsthand, and I also was signing in the signature of an agreement to recover the province of Guadalajara, an agreement that was signed in a palace in the city of Guadalajara. And you're still innovating nowadays. Since 2013, you are innovating through this Lanzaderas de Empleo. The figures that were mentioned before by the Director General, 11,000 people, 60% of employment found, many participants developing their own projects, and many people who have participated, who have decided to resume their studies that probably they left many years before they should, and before they could achieve a degree that would entitle them for future jobs. This program has an active role in creating new job opportunities, and the participants, the unemployed participants, can share their ideas, they work, and they add their perseverance in order to achieve a successful experience in a world that is every day more and more open and interconnected. Teamwork and personal commitment and the public and private resources put together, the individualized journey and the sharing of skills. We're talking about aptitudes and attitudes. When you put together those two things, you can achieve the personal goals, the career goals that you set for yourself. And all these participants in these programs can really achieve their life dreams. It is possible to make real one's dreams. You just need to work hard. It involves a sacrifice, but if you want, you can do it. And you're a living proof of this. Your experience is being taken in particular for the development of specific plans from the ministry. We're working in a plan to promote youngsters' employment. We're also working in another plan for long-lasting unemployed people, working with the trade unions and also with business associations. And we're taking into account experiences such as this for developing these plans. The work right now and for the future is part of a continuum. We need to keep learning and adapting all the time, not only in terms of our knowledge, but also in terms of our skills, so we can work as part of a team to communicate, to work and live in a world without borders, and to work in projects that are global at the moment, in a work with new rules, with new rights, and within the framework of a new regulation. We're currently working on the regulation for the workers of the 21st century. The Director General of the Foundation was talking about Industry 4.0, robots, and all these different concepts that have become part of our lives in the present, but will be more so in the future. We're talking about the needed presence of experts in biotechnology, social media experts, etc. There are jobs that a few years ago did not exist and that are in high demand right now in the companies, and some profiles like mathematicians, physics, and I was told, for instance, in the Mondragón Foundation in Bilbao, in the Grupo Mondragón in Bilbao, they were also telling me that we need experts in the hotel industry, experts in renewable energy, in taking care of dependent people. The market is constantly moving, constantly increasing, and it's up to us as well to be an active part of these changes, knowing that this is a unique situation in the history of humanity. There will be jobs that will disappear, but also we will look into the future with a positive eye, and because there are jobs that are being created right now, and new jobs will be coming in the future, and we need to be ready to face the future of employment. In your case, you can be very proud of your participation in this Lanzadera project, not only because you overcame this main obstacle that is taking the first step, sometimes, but also because you overcame this fear that we sometimes have as human beings, is the fear of failing. I have to confess that the day I said yes to the president and I took this responsibility, I could not blink an eye that night, just thinking about because my appointment would be notified in a few days, and I was considering saying no because I was afraid of failing. I was afraid of making mistakes. But once I heard César Alierta saying that he didn't promote anyone who had not failed in the past. I thought this was an interesting concept. César Alierta said that a person who hadn't made at least 2 mistakes, because if I do so, when I promote this person, they will make bigger mistakes. So, to put it in other words, I want people to have failed beforehand, before I promote them, because as human beings, learn from anything, including learning from our mistakes. And also, we want to overcome ourselves. When we make a mistake, when we fall, what we usually do is to stand up, even stronger than we were before. And I encourage you to keep working, to keep taking risks, to not fear to make a mistake at a given time, because you know that people who do not do anything for fear of making a mistake, they're making the greatest mistake they can make. So I encourage you to move forward, to keep working, to also use this opportunity for your future life that has not been given to you by us. You have earned it with your sacrifices, with your dedication, with your hopes. Never lose these hopes and the capability of fighting for your own dreams. Thank you, everyone.
Muchísimas gracias. Gracias, señora ministra.
Thank you, Minister, for taking time to be here with us today, and thank you for your support as well. So this is the end of it. So in the name of the Fundación Santa María la Real, if you have noticed, there's a little model on the table, and this is the way we say thank you. This is something made by a participant of the Fuenlabrada Lanzadera. It's a representation of the drawings by Peridis. This is in Alvaro's office every day, and it keeps us it drives us to keep working, to keep driving. So keep this in mind, and thank you to all the participants, volunteers, companies, public administrations, public institutions, private institutions, for all the people who are here celebrating the 5th anniversary with us. Please keep this image in mind, because you're all on this boat, and you have all helped us rowing, and you have helped us giving a new direction to the employment efforts. Thank you in the name of Santa María la Real. So we have reached the end today. Obviously, from Fundación Telefónica, we share these things that you have heard, and before we go to this little cocktail, we would like to ask for 10 seconds, Minister, so we can have a family picture here on the stage. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you.